Welcome to this short tutorial on a recommended grading process using marking guides and marking workflow. It is important for you to follow these procedures to ensure that university policies are being adhered to, as well as transparency and thoroughness in grading is taking place. In the first video, we discussed the use of the marking workflow capability in the assignment drop boxes. This video will cover the use of the marking guides in the Dropbox as well as a process you can follow if you are either the first or second examiner in a TLET course. It is important to reiterate that the second examiner is meant to review the student's work and, using the rubrics established for the assignment, determine grades for each student independently of the first examiner. It is not meant for the second examiner to review the first examiner's performance or grading practices. As we discussed in the last video, the marking workflow feature allows us to enter grades and make edits without the student being able to see any of the information while we perform our review and reconciliation. The system provides 6 states in the workflow that can be communicated to students to ensure they understand where in the grading process the facilitator and examiner are currently working. While the system provides these sequential series of states, there are really only 3 that are critical to be communicated to the students: in marking, in review, and released. Before the course instructor and the second examiner begin the process of recording their individual scoring, the workflow status must be set by the CI to the in marking state. If this is not done, students will be able to see all grades entered as well as the modifications, or in the absence of grades, assume that no one has started looking at their assignments. At this time, most of the TLET courses are small, which means the first examiner, who is the course instructor, and the second examiner are both expected to review all student assignments. To meet the timelines promised in the student charter, it is expected that the CI and second examiner perform grading simultaneously to ensure the reconciliation process takes place in a timely manner. To avoid grades being overwritten in the Dropbox or the transfer of spreadsheets via email, which opens up possibilities of student data being breached, we are strongly recommending that a Google Docs spreadsheet be created by the CI and shared with the second examiner to facilitate the grading process. This spreadsheet can be quite simple. In this example, we have a set of 3 criteria used for evaluating a reflective assignment. As you can see, when the CI enters in one column and the second examiner enters in the other, a reconciliation grade is being calculated as an average between the 2 scores. This helps identify where gaps between scores occur and supports a speedy reconciliation. When the grades have been entered for all students, the CI should ensure that the workflow state is updated to in review. This alerts the student that the process is not complete but has moved forward. At this point in time, it is expected that the first and second examiner will meet for a reconciliation of the grades and determination of the feedback that should be provided to help the student improve. Here you can see I have an example of a spreadsheet for grading a discussion forum. In this case, the first and second examiner have entered grades for the first student. As you can see, although their total scores only varied by 1 point, within the criteria marks, there are some that had more than a few points difference. This illustrates the importance of the reconciliation meeting. Working through the individual scores using the suggested reconciliation score helps determine a final score that represents both viewpoints. Once the reconciliation is finalized, the first examiner is ready to input the grades in the Dropbox. To begin marking, the CI accesses the Dropbox in the course and selects the Grade button. A grading page will be displayed. If you encounter a situation where the marking guide does not instantly appear, click the Advanced button on the top right corner, and that will normally cause the page to load. If you do this, make sure that the student you are entering the grades for is correctly displayed at the top of the screen. Given that we are using the marking guide, you will see a layout that incorporates the rubric on the right-hand side. Click on the zoom icon on the right to have the marking guide presented as a pop-up window for better viewing. The marking guide displays the marking range for each level of performance for the criteria and allows you to enter a specific score. As you can see, it provides a place to enter specific comments with respect to an individual criterion. However, we recommend you give feedback at the end that is formative and comprehensive. When all marks and feedback are entered for an individual student, release the pop-up window, save your changes, and move on to the next student. After final grades and feedback are entered, the CI needs to review the scores to ensure they match what was agreed upon in the reconciliation meeting. Return to the Dropbox by clicking the link at the top of the page and select View All Submissions. If there are no other adjustments to be made, the CI can then set the workflow status to be released and notify students that grades are available to be viewed in the Dropbox and Gradebook. Thank you for listening to this short tutorial. We hope that your examination experience with the TLET courses are manageable and more efficient when following this process.